What's going on, you guys? It's your Huggable Hipster here, and welcome back to another game review. Another game has gone, another game has come by. Silent Hill 3 taking the place right now of Blair Witch in terms of that was, the game that we played was Blair Witch, and now after, is Silent Hill 3. You get what I'm trying to tell you. But there are several articles that you guys are going to be getting over the span of this upcoming week. One on Doki Doki Literature Club, because I'm doing more of an in-depth psychological review on that. One on Ellis's character, which will be an episode of Psychologically Gaming. And another one on Blood Rain. Also, a couple of house cleaning things before we get started. If you guys want early access to any of the articles that I post, I have my Patreon link down below where you guys get those a couple of days to a week early, so you guys can see those before anybody else does. And also, I am doing some remodeling on my website at wix.com, hashtag not sponsored. But tomorrow you guys might see some differences. Things might look a little less pink on the website because things have a very pinky peach vibe. I want to just make things a little classier, a little bit just, stylish, if you will. When it's all done, you guys will be the first to know on Twitter and on the community page on YouTube, so be sure to check it out when it's all done. By the way, just in case you guys are wondering why is she moving her eyes back and forth, I have my article right over here that I am reading from back and forth, so that's why I'm not glitching. Filmed in 1999, to a change in the way TVs and movies were produced, the Blair Witch Project has influenced whole genres of movie making, down to how they are even recorded and produced, and it has influenced books, college literature, and now video games. So the game Blair Witch is a new approach to an already existing harmonious storyline. So we have to ask the question, how can the Blair Witch game, a story within a story basically, be created in the context of the Blair Witch movie without the loss of an already harmonious story? So much like Hollywood, whenever a movie is being turned into a game, there is at times a loss of continuity and plotline flow. Now in the game Blair Witch, we play as an ex-military vet, Ellis Lynch. He is searching for a little boy by the name of Peter. Right when entering the game, you have a dog companion, which, yes, thank you. An officer hinting that we have a destructive mental illness, and we have a camcorder upon going into the very first campsite. Now, first things first, our lovely companion doggo Bullet. Dog that takes my heart away and will always be with you for at least 90% of the game. Don't get ahead of me here, okay, kids? I am of two minds whenever I see developers put a dog into a video game. On the one hand, it kind of emotionally tears me because I know I will get attached to the dog, but on the other hand, we have to be real with this. This is an AI, a character that's made up of ones and zeros. It's not a real dog. So why are we actually getting emotionally attached to this dog? Because it's a dog. I don't think it'll matter to us if it's ones and zeros, if it's an AI, if it's an electronic robot within a game or real life. It's still representing something to us that has a physical emotional attachment. Now when we first go into the campsite, I thought it was a little Outlast-ish, not gonna lie. You can't fight enemies, your only option is to hide or run, and you have a crappy ass camcorder. Now, just to mention this, there is going to be a lot that we are covering today within the article that I wrote for the Blair Witch review. There's psychological underpinnings, adapting a film from 1999 to 2019. That's a big thing. And a lot of themes of loss that are being built into this game. Like, you see a lot of loss in the game, not just emotionally, but physically. Like, you start to see yourself kind of deteriorate in a way. Now, since this is a review, you will have things ruined for you. You will have things spoiled for you. There will be tons of the spoilers. So if you do not want that and you have not played the game yet, I recommend clicking off of the video, seeing or playing the game first, and then coming back and watching this video. Other than that, let's enjoy the rest of the review. I just want to mention that because so many people are like, oh my god, there's so many spoilers. What do you think a review is, ho? Now, this game doesn't rush into heart. As a matter of fact, it takes its time with it. It's slow, methodical, it's calculated, and it goes from this kind of like lasting mission to get you amped up for all of the spoopage that's going to go on from point A to point B. While, yes, this game does remind me of a combination of both Layers of Fear and Outlast, it has an undeniable atmosphere that pulls you into its gravity. Now, I have to admit, I'm very biased towards the games because I absolutely love the movies and the documentary movie that they put out. I love the movies with my whole person. As cringy as the one they did in 2016 was, it was still really good because it gave you a sense of what the Blair Witch could have looked like in a way. But be that as it may, as biased as I am towards it, there are things that in this game, I wish they had done a little bit better, to say the least. Now, since the creators of Layers of Fear made this game, I'm not shocked at all that there is somewhat of a, actually not somewhat, a lot of a repetitive nature to the game. Layers of Fear is a classic. Both the first and the second one are masterpieces, giving a new meaning to the word horror. Very subtle, very distant at times, if that makes sense, because you're seeing things, but you get closer to them and they aren't exactly what you think they are. With the Blair Witch, there was this looping mechanism that we all know and love from Layers of Fear, but there are some good parts and bad parts to the looping mechanism that they incorporated in this game. Now, on the one hand, you have the campsite that you go into, and the campsite will loop throughout the game, as it did in Layers of Fear, actually. Whenever you go into your painting room, and it gets more decrepit, and it gets more decaying and morbid, and the campsite's kind of like that. It's showing Ellis's true nature bit by bit. It's very psychological, because I believe that the campsite, as well as the room that is with all the paintings and everything like that, it's the subconscious of the mind that is showing all of like the nasty, greedy, manipulative natures that is really within the person. With each movement into being a little more decrepit, in a way, the campsite grows more moldy, grows more decayed, and with every chapter that goes on, you slowly become more integrated with the monster that is the Blair Witch, or in this case, the antagonist, Carver. Now, once you get to a certain point of the game, it goes from, oh, this is kind of creepy, to, oh my god, shit just got real. Find out later on in the game that Ellis is an ex-military vet with a crippling form of PTSD, where he has full-on auditory and visual hallucinations that take form, and it becomes crippling paranoia, and quite possibly, I believe, he also has delusions along with it. Now, Ellis gets to a point of where his delusions start to bleed over into reality, and he has to make the choice of, do I stay here and go crazy, or do I find a way out? Now, throughout the game, there are several points in which you will experience a woman whispering sweet nothings into your ear, which I honestly think that that's the Blair Witch. There are different psychological notes, and it discusses Carver's inpatient documents of when he was with a psychiatrist. At one point, I thought it also could have been Ellis's documents, because it describes things that seem very similar to Ellis's personality, which I think is a great note on the developer or on the writer's point. I don't know if they kind of cross-mingled and discussed different things to put in there, because usually the writer is the one that writes the notes, but the developer puts in notes for the writers to change or whatnot. So I feel like it could have been either Carver or Ellis, or a mixture of the both, and it wasn't discussed whether or not Ellis actually was seeking psychiatric help in the game. For me to think, or for any audience member or player of the game to think that it could have been either of their inpatient notes is just goes to show you how really great the writing is. Even though there are some loopholes, the writing of this story based on the Blair Witch. Now, this is something that I think is really well done. This is a new story combined into an already existing story, and they just do it well. They just do it to a point of where it's harmonious, not seamless, but it is harmonious. Now let's dive into some of the changes that were made in adapting a film that was in 1999 to a game in 2019. Now, with this film coming out in 99, I was about to say docu-series, not really, because it was just one film that was a documentary of the fictional characters and life and story and everything like that, even though they use their real names, like Heather Donahue. That's her actual name that she used for the film, which is, by the way, one thing she regrets about it. There was another film afterwards that came out in 2016, and one thing not a lot of people know, there were previous Blair Witch games. Now, I'm not sure if they took part in the third Blood Rain game, but we don't talk about that one. I feel like the developers managed to do something kind of revolutionary here and really difficult. They incorporated a new plot line into an already existing storyline that I had previously stated before that they did, which usually never works, but with this game, I feel like it just did. Now, let's dive into the topic that is the least fun for everybody involved, the critiques. The so fabulous, so fan-dabby-dozy critiques. When I got to a certain part of the game, it got buggy, to say the least. In the abandoned sawmill area, I forget what it's called, it's a place where you gotta interchange different wheels and knobs and all that fun stuff. The abandoned mining area, that's it, not sawmill, Jesus Christ. The abandoned mining area. Your means of transportation in between different sites of the mining area are a mining car, train car, whatever you want to call it. At a certain point, when you try to get onto the train car, it disappears. The car itself, it disappears, it vanishes, it went kapoof into just thin air. This didn't happen just once, it happened twice during my time in the mining area when trying to get back onto said cart. Now, when it comes to a game that I've pre-ordered and waited for a month, I feel like it's appropriate that the game should work in its entirety the way it's supposed to. Now, there will always be bugs. Whenever you're developing a game, there are actually such a minute level of bugs throughout the gameplay upon finishing that the player doesn't even notice that's going on. There are going to be very minor bugs no matter what you do. They aren't even noticeable by the player, there's no issues, but when it's such a ginormous one like this and your mode of transportation just vanishes, it has me questioning a lot of things. Like, the thing just vanished. I had to restart the game twice during gameplay, which I cut out bits and pieces of that way it wouldn't be such a long gameplay, because whenever you're running back and forth, and I actually forgot to mention this in the article, whenever you're running back towards your mode of transportation, it disappears. Even when you're just walking towards it, not trying to get up on it or anything like that. Now, at the end of the game, depending on how you treat your dog and depending on how you interact with Carver, you will get one of 4 endings. I got the ending where you become the Carver, where you become the delusional basket case. Which makes sense for Ellis. It makes sense for his personality, his past, given what he's gone through and who he becomes. I mean, it makes sense, you know, with how his past intertwined with his present, he's pretty much gone cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. He became the very thing he hated, and it crossed into his now living delusions. Now, there are some things that are just the icing on the cake with this game, at least for me in particular. We encounter the Blair Witch symbol a lot, which gets more and more decrepit and decaying as the game goes on, which I absolutely love. And we encounter the same exact house in the finale of the game. Insert girly squealy noises here. Whenever I saw that last part, my heart was happy. They did something justice. They did other things justice in the game, trust me, but whenever I saw this, I was like, help me, I've fallen and I can't get up. Now, I don't know how it was for you guys. If you guys have played it, please let me know down in the comments below. I would love to know your thoughts. But for me, it has replayability value, which is key whenever you're going into a game. Will you be able to play this again and still enjoy it? And if you like the movie, I truly believe that you guys will like the game. Even if you take away something very small from it, you're taking away something that you might have enjoyed. It has suspense, it has horror, it has psychological references, underpinnings. It's just, it's good. It's really good. But if you guys like my face and what I do, please be sure to subscribe and hit that bell down below, because I make videos every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 1 p.m. EST with double uploads on Fridays with Tea Talks and The Sims. Now, I do double uploads like this, like what I'm doing today, if I have a lot that I want to get done, but I'm just not sure how to place it. I'll do a double upload on either a Monday, Wednesday, or a Friday. But stay casually nerdy, you guys, and I will talk to you all in the Tea Talk on Friday. Peace.